Welcome to the Agricultural Marketing Service Marketing Order and Agreement Division's presentation on filing electronically for an importer's exempt commodity certificate, Form SC-6, for commodities subject to Section 8E regulations. My name is Shannon Ramirez, and I am a Compliance and Enforcement Specialist for the Marketing Order and Agreement Division, and I will be your presenter for this webinar. The objectives of this webinar are to briefly explain Section 8E import requirements, introduce the Marketing Order and Agreement Division's Compliance and Enforcement Management System website, which is also known as SIMS. The SIMS website is where you register to file an importer's exempt commodity form, also known as the SC-6 form. If your commodity is subject to Section 8E import requirements and you would like to request an exemption, this is the website where you will submit your request. Next, I will explain the registration process to create an EAuthentication account. And finally, I will explain how to register in SIMS to create an SC-6 for electronic submission. The Agricultural Marketing Agreement Act of 1937 was enacted by Congress to create orderly marketing conditions for fruits, vegetables, and specialty crops. Marketing orders are producer-driven programs with government oversight and compliance and enforcement activities. They stabilize markets by balancing the availability of quality product with the need for adequate returns to producers, and they help producers work together to solve marketing problems they cannot solve individually. Commodities covered by Section 8E include avocados, grapefruit, onions, pistachios, and many more. If you would like more information on the Marketing Order and Agreement Division or commodities regulated by Section 8E import requirements, you can watch a recorded video by clicking on the link at the bottom of this slide. If your product fails to meet the Section 8E requirements during inspection, in whole or in part, you have three options. You may re-export the commodity to another country. If you do this, you will need to submit a Form CBP 7512 as proof of re-exportation. You may destroy the product in the presence of a specialty crops inspector. If you choose this option, you will need to get written documentation as proof that the destruction was witnessed. Or you may request an importer's exempt commodity form for an exemption from inspection. To request for a product to be exempt from inspection in advance, you would file an MO4 message set in Custom and Border Protection's Automated Commercial Environment, also known as ACE. You can file for an MO4 exemption if the import regulation indicates it's an option. The most common eligibility categories for the importer's exempt commodity form are charity, processing, and livestock feed. Please ensure you refer to the Section 8E regulation for your particular commodity for exemption eligibility. Important things to know about filing an MO4 message set are: you will be required to provide the SIMS identification number for the importer and receiver. The importer and receiver must both be registered in SIMS prior to using this scenario. Registration is completed on the SIMS website. The items will be covered in more depth later in this presentation. To get to the SIMS website and begin the registration process, you will go to the link on this slide. A Level 1 EAuthentication account is required to use the SIMS website. To get to the EAuthentication home page to create a Level 1 account, please click on the link on the landing page that is indicated by the black arrow on the right side of this slide. If you previously filed for FV6s in the MOLS program or already have an EAuthentication Level 1 account, you do not need to create a new EAuthentication account to file for an importer's exempt commodity form, and you can skip this step and begin setting up your profile. Instructions for setting up your profile begin on slide 15 of this presentation. This is the first page you will see in creating an EAuthentication account. On this screen, there are two links to click on to create an account. Each link is indicated with red arrows. You will click on either of the two links that indicate Create an Account. After you have clicked on Create an Account, it will take you to the second screen. On this screen, you will click on the button on the right side of the page indicated by the red arrow. This is the button to register for a Level 1 account in EAuthentication. This is the registration page. The fields that are required to be filled in are in red and have an asterisk by them. Please ensure that you use a valid email address, as that is where your approval and activation information will be sent. The next slide will show the rest of this form and what to do when you have completed it. Once you have filled out all of the information on the screen and have selected your security questions, click the Continue at the bottom of the page next to the red arrow. This page will not let you continue unless you have completed all required fields. Once you have completed filling out the required information and clicked Continue, this is the next screen that will appear. This screen will display your user information, security questions, and the answers you provided. If the information on the screen is correct, click Submit. If it's not correct, click Edit and correct your information. After clicking on Submit, when your information is correct, this is the next screen that will be displayed. This is the final screen, and it has important instructions on how you will be receiving your access and how to activate your account. It is important to follow the directions on this page and on the email that you receive to activate your account prior to attempting to log into the SIMS website. Please print this page for your records. If you have problems with creating or logging in with your EAuthentication username and password, please contact the EAuthentication Help Desk at 1-800-457-3642 and select option 1. MOAD will not be able to help with EAuthentication issues. Only the EAuthentication Help Desk can assist with account issues. The link on this slide is the URL address to take you to the SIMS website. Once there, you will click Login to SIMS, which is indicated by the red arrow on this page. The first thing you will need to do, whether you are a user that previously had an EAuthentication account or if you are a new user, is creating or editing your profile in SIMS. All fields that are required have a red asterisk by them. Whether you are a shipper or a receiver or processor, you will need to complete the registration using the following steps. Please note that the receiver or processor must be the firm that is making use of the product and is either a charity or a processor. A broker, repacking, or wholesale distributing firm is not a valid receiver or a processor. If you are a first-time user in the SIMS website, you will need to input the name of the organization and complete the contact information for the business in the fields indicated. If you are a prior MOLS user, please verify the information is correct and edit the information as needed. In the System Role area, there is a drop-down box. On this slide, it is highlighted in yellow. Select the appropriate role for your company. If you are a prior MOLS user, or if you are adding additional users for your organization, select the option to be associated with an organization indicated by the red arrow in the middle of this slide. Multiple people can now be associated with one company and are able to create and receive importers exempt commodity forms. After you have completed filling in all the information, click on the box that says, I agree to the USDA privacy policy. To read the policy, there is a link in the dark green area. All fields to type your signature will appear. Type in your signature. This will serve as your electronic signature when you verify the information you are submitting. This is your attestation that the information you are submitting is true and accurate. After you have done this, click Submit. Both the shipper and the receiver are required to be registered in the system to create an importer's exempt commodity form. It is important that the receiver register prior to the shipper attempting to create an SC-6 form, as the shipper will be selecting the receiver from a drop-down box to find the receiver. The system will send a notification email to MOAD, and we will process your request for the role requested. There is an option to register for a dual user role for specific types of importers. For those limited organizations that would like to request a dual role to be a shipper, broker, and a receiver processor, on the left side of the page, there is a title in all caps that says Operation Links. Click on Change Registration Role. Then click on Request Dual Role. Then click Submit. This will send an email to MOAD for approval. Prior to granting approval, the company needs to be researched and confirmed to be a legitimate processing company. After submission of your request, you will receive an email or a phone call requesting proper documentation to be approved as a processing company. Please note that the receiver or processor must be the firm that is making use of the product and is either a charity or processor. Brokers or repacking or wholesale distributing firms are not valid receivers. You should note that the Importer's Exempt Commodity Form, the SC-6 form, is not to be used to establish product origin. This is not the proper use for this form. In addition, merely selling or transferring the product to a repacker or a broker is not valid use of this form. Once your company has submitted one of the forms of documentation to validate your company as a processor, MOAD will review the documentation and process your request accordingly. If you do not provide appropriate documentation to validate your processing request, your request will be denied. Documents accepted by the USDA to verify your company as a processor are a USDA establishment number, an FDA bioterrorism number, an SQF certification, safe quality food, a BRC certification, British Retail Consortium. When filing an MO4 message set in ACE, the entity ID number or ultimate consignee number is needed. To find these numbers, you will need to go to the home page in SIMS and click on Change Registration Info link. On this screen, the SIMS ID is the number you are looking for, indicated in the red square. Both the shipper and the receiver have a SIMS ID. Both the shipper and the receiver need to go into the screen to obtain the information. The shipper, or broker for the shipper, will file an MO4 message set in their system that transmits through CBP's ACE system, not an MO1. This is very important. When filing an MO4 message set, it will ask for the entity ID number for the shipper and ultimate consignee for the receiver. This is the SIMS ID number. The shipper's SIMS ID is the entity number. The receiver's SIMS ID is the ultimate consignee number. If you are a dual role user, the entity ID and ultimate consignee numbers will be the same. These numbers are entered into the ACE system. Once the MO4 message set is submitted into the CBP ACE system, it will automatically verify the SIMS ID entity numbers. There is no need to fill out the SC-6 form when filing an MO4 message set. It will automatically create the form, generate an exemption in the CBP system, and transmit it to SIMS. Once you have submitted your request, it can be viewed by the shipper under the Request SC Certificate link and can be printed. When the receiver receives the product, they will need to log into SIMS to verify the receipt of the shipment and the weight. Once they have done this and click Submit, the shipper will receive a May Proceed message. After the receiver confirms the information in the SIMS website, both the shipper and receiver are able to view and print a copy of the completed Importer's Exempt Commodity Form. There are no other actions needed after this. The Compliance and Enforcement Branch no longer accepts paper FB6 forms. All Importers Exempt Commodity Form, SC-6 form requests must be filed electronically. Filing electronically expedites the release process and communicates a message to CBP that your product has met USDA's regulatory requirements. Failure to comply with filing an Importers Exempt Commodity Form electronically will result in CEB contacting you and possibly pursuing enforcement action. Before we conclude, I would like to summarize the process of obtaining an Importers Exempt Commodity Form, the SC-6 form. All requests must be submitted electronically. Paper forms are no longer accepted by MOAD. To obtain an electronic form, you must have an EAuthentication login and password. If you have previously used the MOL system to create an SC-6 form, that login and password will work in SIMS. If you have not used the MOL system before, you will need to go to the EAuthentication website and obtain an account. You will use your EAuthentication username and password to log into the SIMS website. After logging into SIMS and updating your profile, you are able to see your SIMS ID, which is used to file an MO4. Filing an MO4 automatically creates an Importers Exempt Commodity Form for the shipper and sends it to CBP and the receiver. To view your Importers Exempt Commodity Form, log into SIMS and it will appear there. The receiver must go into SIMS and receive the shipment for it to be in compliance. This concludes our presentation on how to file an MO4 message set in ACE and to obtain an Importers Exempt Commodity Form for your product. If you have any questions on how to obtain an Importers Exempt Commodity Form, the SC-6 form, or on how to file an MO4 message set, please contact the Compliance and Enforcement Branch at 888-551-3523, or you can email us at 8eimports@ams.usda.gov. My name is Shannon Ramirez. Thank you for your time.